Welcome everyone, today we have a very special guide for Diablo 4. In this video, we'll look into the Paragon board into more details for each of the classes. If you look behind me, you can see there's a lot of information for each of the classes. I have taken quite a bit of time to look into each of the classes and also the Paragon board into more details. So you can see here we have a lot of pathings for different classes and also different Paragon board. And what I want to do is, this is the first part of a many-part guide towards the Paragon board, the legendaries and also the uniques and also everything related to the endgame. So this is the first video, and we'll have additional videos about the best glyphing pathways and also the best capstones, the leveling guide, the 1 to 100 build, and everything related to Diablo 4. Now, similar to all of the videos, if you guys want the notes over here, come over to the links below to come over to the website for more links and also more additional information on the board and also for each of the classes. And if you guys are not very familiar with the Paragon board for Diablo, the endgame specialization, come over to this particular video. I have made a link for you guys. I have made this video in the past and it gives more details on each of the board, how each of the tiles works, the legendaries, the rares, and also the blue ones, and how you want to path your tiles. And of course, in the future videos, I'll be focusing on each part of those in more details. And because there's going to be a lot of build and also variation for each of the Paragon and also each of the pathways, it is hard to cover everything in one video, right? So what I do over here is I'll break the video into a few parts. The first part is I really want to show you guys how to use the skill builders over here with Lothar skill builder, how to build your own Paragon board, what are the things you should look for, and how to get it going so you can try it yourself. The second thing is I'll be showing you an example of my Paragon board and also the best build for each of the class, and I'll be highlighting each of the legendaries, the rares, the blue ones, which of the passives and also the perks you can get to become stronger. Now, because there's an overwhelming amount of information, what I do is, on the next video, we'll look into the best glyph and also the best pathways for those glyph. And as one of the example, I'll use the Barbarian as an example as we go through the video. At the second part, you get to see how I path the glyphs, but it will take a long time for each of the build and each of the class. So in this video, let's look at the legendary tiles and all the boards for the options over here. So coming over to our first class of focus, and this will be the Necromancer. So we'll be going with a Bone, Sacrifice, Max Essence, Crit Necromancer. There's some typos I'll fix later. So if we come over to the skill tree builder over here, what I want to show you guys is how to use this one yourself. And this will be very quick, so bear with me. So what you do is, usually I reset everything, so everything's back to normal. Now you don't have to perk everything out, you just have to perk over here to see the next part. And this allows you to pick which of the board you want to go to next after the initial board. You always start with the initial board, and this is the one over here. And it will take you about, I think, 20 points to get to the next board. And it's quite important you perk into the next board correctly. And what I do is, I'll give you guys a quick example over here. So over here, my build for the Necromancer will be the Bone Mage. So we go with the Bone one. You can see over here, you can scroll down and also up to see what board is available. So after clicking the Bone one and also click Accept, notice the board is provided to me. But I really want to perk into the Legendary. So I can click this button to spin around. And once I spin around, notice it's much easier to perk all the way into the Legendary over here. That is much closer. But for this video, we're not doing a lot of perkings. I want to show you guys the board and also the routes and also the pathways. Because if I do the pathing, guys, I have to do the glyphs. If I do the glyphs, I want to do the legendary and the rares, and it will take us like 2 hours to do this. So the next part is, now that you perk into a legendary, you want to go to the next board, right? So click over here, and the next board you look into is the board that will enhance your powers. And this is how I make the guide over here. Each of the board follows the legendaries for now, and the next time we'll look into the glyphs and also more rares and also golden and also more rare tiles and also blue tiles. So notice over here, by selecting the next legendary feature, which is the consuming corpses that provide me with 40% more damage with 5 corpses. And once I consume this one, notice it's quite close. I can path my way over here, and maybe I can path my way down here, or path my way up here. I like to go upwards. So I'll show you guys over here. You spin around. So notice here is healing over time I don't need. I want the damage. I want the critical strike. So I path this way, and get this. I'll just do a quick one, and then I get over here. Don't worry guys, I'll go through things in more detail. I just want to show you how to use this. So now the next one, usually I go for 3 board. You don't want to go for too many boards because you want to be perking a lot of things. And the final board I want to go with Necromancer is going to be the having 2 corpses give us damage reduction. And then when there's no corpses, you gain increased damage. And this works wonderfully over here with the legendary over here, and also this works well with the Bone Mage over here. So our Bone Mage will be gaining essence by consuming corpses and by killing enemies, and then when we consume corpses, we'll gain more damage. And when there's no corpses, we will be gaining more damage. When there are corpses, we gain damage reduction. So that completes the speedrun teaching of how to use your Paragon board. Now, of course, things will get into more details. I'll go by build, step by step for each of the class for you guys very soon, because I want to go into more details, right? But there's overwhelming amount of information, so I want to do a brief summary for you guys for each of the build. So coming over to my notes, you can see that for the Necromancer, I have decided to pick 3 of the Paragon board with a really good legendary. The first one is the Bone Skill increased damage and also with Max Essence. This also works well with the Capstones, which we'll talk about in more details in the next few videos, because there's so many information. We go one step at a time. Now the next one is, the next board I will go into, the legendary provides us with 40% damage. The next board provides 15% damage reduction or 15% increased damage, and those are the 3 legendary tiles I'll be focusing for the Necromancer. Now if you come back over to the skill tree, you can be using the search function over here to see some additional benefits. For example, the first thing you want to see is, you want to see what is your core spell that is related. For me, the Bone Spear is related to Bone, Damage, Physical, and also Essence. So the key words you want to search for is going to be Bone, Physical, and Essence. So let's have a look over here. So here I'm searching for Bone, right? Once you search for Bone, notice those lights up. And you want to be getting perks that provide you with one of those benefits as you perk into the next part. And then of course I can go with Physical. And then once you go with Physical, you can see there are perks that provide you with resistance or damage towards Physical. Most of them are resistance actually. And finally, a big highlight for most of the build is that you want to go with elite damage. So the bonus damage towards elite for most of the build and also Paragon is going to be massive. Bonus damage to elite also works on bosses, because bosses are considered as elites. And what you want to do is, as you perk towards your legendary, you want to go for the golden rare ones, the blue ones that benefits you. Not really the bonus, so you don't really go for the potion healing, right? You go with the critical strike damage, you go with damage towards bone skills. And as you path through those, we'll be going with the next legendary and also the next ones as we pick additional, perks that increase our damage as we go. And this is what you can see over here. Here I'll be highlighting some of the rare tiles. We'll go with Bone Skills, Max Essence, Critical Strike damage, and also Critical Strike. And as for the blue ones, we also want to look for the elite damage on top of all the things that's mentioned over here. And of course, for this particular guide, I would not be touching the tiles too much, the glyphs too much, but the next few videos, we'll talk about the glyphs. The glyphs are very interesting. There's a lot of them, and it's quite interesting to path them, but it'd be too long to make this video. So as a summary for the Necromancer, I'll be going with a Bone Mage Necromancer, sacrificing all of my minions, gaining additional essence, increased critical chance, critical rate, and also bonus damage with enemies with bone skills and also against elites. And those are some of the highlights of the perks I highlighted over here. I'll have the links available for you guys to try that out yourself, and those will be my pathways over here to go for the closest legendaries, and then we'll perk into the glyphs after. And yes, if you guys want the link over here, click over here for the link, and this will provide you with what I just showed you over here. So I didn't perk into any of the skills, not the pathways, but I show you the boards and also the assignments over here. Now, our next character of focus will be the Druid, and here we'll be going with an Earth Druid that uses a lot of spirit, that regenerates a lot of spirit, that gains 100% critical strike, that gains bonus damage with crowd control and also poison enemies, and also that uses companions. Sounds really good, right? So the legendary of focus is that after spending spirit, we gain more damage, and the Druid Cornerstone have a chance of restoring all of your spirit. So you want to spend more spirit, gain damage. You want to be casting earth spells to gain damage, because you'll be crowd-controlling enemies with earth spells. And finally, you will gain damage by poisoning enemies, and the Poison Creeper is really good for this. Now, some of the golden rare tiles and also the blue tile of focus is that increase maximum spirit, gaining spirit on killing enemies, increase more maximum spirit, and also gaining damage on poison enemies against elites, and also additional damage against poison enemies. So if you come over to the skill builder over here, you can see that my first pathway, the choice is I'll be gaining bonus damage by spending spirit. I'll try to path to this one quickly, and afterwards I'll try to path to the other one, which increase my earth spell damage by 30% while crowd control enemies. Now, as you can see over here, some of the golden ones are not very good. I don't need the healing over time, but other ones that increase maximum spirit, I can go for this as a path into the legendaries. Now, I'll do a pathing for you guys very soon. So here you just see the general route. Now over here, as I path into this, you can see there's some really good damage reduction over here, which can be good. And as I path into the last legendary, you can also see there's some resistance. Now, those are not the biggest deal. The bigger deal is the elite damage. So once we highlight elite damage, you can see that the Druid doesn't have that much bonus elite damage. There's one over here on this particular tree that uses natural spells, and there's like 8% bonus damage and also 8%. And here you get to see the last board, it has some bonus elite damage, 8%, 8%, and also bonus damage to poison enemies. So eventually, as I path over here, I want to path onwards to get those perks and then go for the glyphs. Of course, we can go for the glyphs a little earlier, and this will be coming in a focus build. Now, I'm sure you guys have noticed I have only used 3 boards, so the first board, second, and also the third, which allows us to have 4 different glyphs and then at least 3 legendaries, and also a lot of the golden ones. So the focus is you'll be pathing along the board, you'll be getting more perks, you're not just going for the legendaries. So here I'm using a legendary as the highlight of the choice of the board, but the glyphs and everything else will be very important on the next video. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed, it is a really good time to do so, because I'll be covering tons of Diablo 4 related topics and also videos and also guides. We'll be looking to the top meta builds, non-meta builds, leveling up, and also Paragon tricks. We're also looking to the latest events and also official updates and also changes to different characters and also different builds in the game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn the notification on, because a lot of you who are watching the videos have not subscribed. You can see 80% of the viewers who are watching our videos have not subscribed, so make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for the latest update for Diablo 4. Now coming over to the Barbarian. For the Barbarian, we'll be going with bleeding damage, physical damage, berserking damage, and also bonus damage to elites. The Barbarian has some really good tiles for the elite damage, and I'm really interested. So over here, one of the first legendary we'll go for is when we bleed enemies for 3 or more seconds, they take 12% increased damage, and this is really good. After that, once we kill bleeding enemies, we gain Berserk for 5 seconds, and this goes into the Berserk legendaries. Now we'll be perking into a lot of the golden rare and also blue tiles that increase physical damage. So if you come over to the skill tree, one of the reasons we're going with bleeding and also physical damage is with rend. So rend is considered as bleeding damage and also physical damage and also slashing. Those are very important. Now, some of the interesting golden rare tiles of highlight is going to be increased physical damage and also more physical damage. After that, we have more damage while berserking and also increased berserk duration and also more damage. Finally, one of the biggest tiles that only appear on 2 of the classes is the Sorcerers and also Barbarians, is the Hunter Killer. This one increases tremendous damage against elites, movement speed after killing them, and also more damage against elite. So this is incredibly good. We'll be looking into this a lot. So coming over to our tree over here, we start over here and I'll be going with the first legendary. On the path to the legendaries, you're going to see a lot of increase of physical damage, and this is really good. As I get over to the first legendary, I'll try to go to the next one, or I can consider getting more physical damage and get a glyph, and we'll decide this after. Now the second legendary is located over here. Over here you also have bonus damage to berserking, which is also a really good pathway, and you come up over here. And then the last legendary is located over here. It also provides us with some good defense. And finally, I'll show you guys elite bonus damage is right over here. So the pathing is really good for the Barbarian. I'm really interested in playing the Barbarian now. And of course, I have the links available for you guys to see the whole thing. Make sure you use the highlights over here to search what you want to search and then to get more benefits out of it, right? Oh, I should spell physical properly. So once you go with physical, you can see the damage bonus for your build. Now coming over to a rogue. For the rogue, I'll be going with melee. Ideally, I want to go with Twisting Blade, right? So for Twisting Blade rogue, I'm going with Cutthroat, melee, imbuement skills, and also dodge. And those will be the main focus of my legendary tiles. So the first tile we'll be going into is that increase imbuement skills and also increases damage by 20%. And we also gain 20% element resistance to that imbuement. For the rogue, this will be Shadow Imbuement. After that, we'll also have a defensive capacity because we'll be using Inner Sight for the specialization of the rogue. We'll be gaining 1.5 seconds of 100% dodge once Inner Sight activates. This is really good offensively as well because you don't have to dodge. You just deal the most damage you can while you have maximum energy. Now finally, one of the really good rogue legendary tile is the Tricks of the Trade. It's when you cast maximum spell, you increase Cutthroat damage, which is melee damage. And when you do Cutthroat, you increase range damage. But ideally, we'll be casting more of the maximum spell as a basic resource generator for Puncher. And this allows us to do more damage with Twisting Blade. So what I'll show you guys over here is, first come over to the basic skills, we'll be using Puncher. Notice Puncher is a maximum spell. And this will increase the damage of Twisting Blade, which is going to be a Cutthroat spell. And this works perfectly. Now, as you guys can see over here, we have multiple sorts of damage multipliers and also defensive perks. And over here, some of the golden rare perks we're looking to is increased imbuement skill damage and also increased damage against elites. So if we come over to the skill tree, and I'll show you guys over here. So we start the pathing this way, and my goal is to get to my first legendary. So the first legendary is located over here, and there's a lot of imbuement spell damage increase, which is really good. Once I get over here, I'll come over to my second legendary, and you can see there's some good defensive spells that you can go into if you want to, if you find yourself taking more damage. Now, because we'll be looking into dodging attacks, right? So this one gives us dodge attack. You can consider coming over here to increase damage increase against elites and also damage after dodging damage. So those are quite interesting against elites as well. Now finally, we'll come over to the marksman spells over here on the tricks of the trade, right? So increase damage with cutthroat. And on the way to the cutthroat, you can see there's a lot of damage to close enemies, and those are really good. And because we're quite close to the glyphs, we can look into the glyphs as we go through. Now finally, we have the sources. Oh boy guys, you have no idea how long this video took. So for the sources, we'll be going with the burning sources for fire skill damage, critical strike, and also boost of enchantment skills as an option. So over here, you guys can see some of the legendaries of interest. Your burning damage is increased by 40% of your critical strike damage, and even more with your intelligence. So right away you can see burning, fire skill, and also critical strike is very good for the sources. And this is perfect for damage, right? So the next legendary allows Fireball and also Meteor to increase critical chance, and then this also stacks further. So we get critical chance, we get critical damage, we deal more burning damage. Now some of the rare and also blue tiles of focus will be increased fire damage, increased critical strike damage, and also increase more damage. And of course, one of the best tiles in the game that only 2 classes have is the Barbarian and also Sorcerer, and this is the Hunter Killer that increases so much damage everywhere. And this is for the elites and also the bosses, which will be the main source of farming for most of the build. So coming over to a Sorcerer's tree, what I do is I start with fire for you guys, and you're gonna see, the fire skills, right? So coming over here for the first of the legendary perk. As you get over here, you're gonna see some fire resistance, not a big deal, to be honest. You can come over here, or you can come over here to see any of the lucky chances. I don't really think it's big. I think this is good. So if you want to path over here as you come to this one's not bad, because you get the burning damage and also damage against elites. Now, as we move over to the next board, what you're going to see is the legendary tile is located over here. And over here, you can see there's increased fire damage over time. So you definitely want to perk over here. Then we'll perk over here for more goodies. And then we go to the next legendary. Once we come over to the next legendary, which is located over here, I'm not actually here for the legendary now. I'm actually here for the glyphs and also the legendary perks. So I want to pass somewhere over here, get the benefits of one of my burning perks for the glyphs, and then I want to path over here for the Hunter Killer. So I got the third board for the Sorcerers simply for the Hunter Killer over here, and there's a lot of good perks over here. So finally, I want to perk over here for the Sorcerers, and of course guys, in the future videos, we'll go up step by step pathing for each of the glyphs and also the pathing. Now, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Oh boy, it took me so long to go through each of the build and each of the paragons and also to make the article. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. This one really took some dedication and also effort. But I really like to do this because for me to understand the game, I like to start from the end and move to the front. So I do the paragons, I do the capstones, I do the leveling, and then I have a perfect build. I can look into, uniques if I get lucky, but ideally, Paragon, you'll eventually get over 70 or 100, and this is going to be so important. So let us know in the comments below, guys, if you have an interesting Paragon perks and also the choices of the pathways, or which of the build do you like, and which of the class would you want to go. So which one really highlights for you? For me, to be honest, it is the Hunter Killer. And it's quite interesting, this golden rare tile is only available for 2 classes, the Barbarian and also the Sorcerers. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below as well. Now before you go, and if you guys didn't know, we have a new YouTube channel. And if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and check out the behind the scenes and also fun clips and also more stories about us. And then you get to know me a little more personally instead of just reading the news and also the games, right? So I want to share a little bit more with you guys. So make sure you check this channel out if you're interested about Matt and also Uni. She's really funny too, and she's really shy. So I want to give her a surprise and do a shout out for the new channel to get some subscribers. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time.